It's not what you know, but who you know. And especially if you're young, how can that empower you now? Stay tuned. Okay, so yesterday I talked a little bit about the power of knowing your macro and micro network. And if you didn't watch the video, which I highly recommend you do, your macro resources are what companies are in your area, in your zip code. And your micro is, do you know people that work for them? Or, you know, who is your next door neighbor, micro resource, and who do they work for? So exact opposite. Knowing your macro and micro networks will really kind of help you push forward. And so yesterday we put a premium on just counting on your mom, dad, aunts, and uncles, and the people they know. And it's been a great kind of a working through whiteboarding session with some of our students and their parents. However, today's two guests had almost the exact opposite routes. They kind of went to mom and dad later, but they already started scanning who they could actively seek out. Watch this.
Really, it's not too long, but the people that are on here are like really important, okay? Like, it's not just people that work at companies, it's like owners of literally every single small business that is in Auburn, okay? I was an intern at the Chamber of Commerce, so I got Teresa, who was the boss there. I don't know what her job title is, but she knew literally everybody in Auburn, and so we would go to all these different events, and she would introduce me to all like big people that help everybody in Auburn. Okay, so my dad used to have his own business in Auburn, and it was called Spade Heating and Plumbing. And so he met a lot of friends, and he always tells everybody about his kids. And so like everybody that he knows is willing to help me and knows what I'm doing. We have a lot of small businesses, and all the entrepreneurs there know how hard it is to start a business and keep it going. So it's a really good support system.
Real quick, my micro network consists mostly of entrepreneurs about my age, maybe a year or two older than me, but for the most part about my age. I usually talk to and work with my micro network more to kind of iron out technical issues in smaller strategic goals. So if I'm doing something specifically and there's a bug don't know what's going on, or if there's some little tip like, oh, should I use CPM over CPC or whatever, that's where I leverage my micro network. My macro network consists of people who are much older than me, usually 10 or 20 years or more. They have their own developed businesses with many employees, or they've been in, big name startup accelerators. And I usually leverage that network more for more overarching strategic management goals and more overarching entrepreneurship advice, just the way I should kind of orient myself in the entrepreneur world.
Okay, so what I really liked about Morgan is like, she had already worked for the Chamber of Commerce, and she was constantly gathering good contacts and obviously providing value to them. So she didn't necessarily start off with mom and dad. Neither did Colin with Educate. Colin also has been really gifted in the sense that he has always gone to some of the industry leaders in the Indianapolis metropolitan area because he knew right off the bat what he was wanting to do was very advantageous, it was very difficult, and so he went straight to the top. That is not to say that it wasn't worth their time to start looking at the aunts and uncles and neighbors micro connections, but those two went straight to macro. They went to the businesses and then found, and I think that there's a certain power in that, because if you have a 16 or 17 or 18 year old, they have an advantage over, because like their youth. A lot of adults would be wowed and impressed if the average 17-year-old says, hey, I want to get to know more from you, and they reach out to these people. So if you're watching this and you're under 20, start now. And if you are a parent, man, this is the time to encourage them to start networking and then gaining information. And then also, if you're a teacher, my gosh, teachers know everybody. So it's always great to make introductions for your students. It just works out well. All right, we have one more episode to go on the micro and macro. I think you're going to really enjoy these last two students. They bring a lot of value to the table. So stay tuned for tomorrow.